Two garden tractors, same job. Mow the lawn, pull a cart, plow some snow. But pop the hood, look under the frame, and talk to owners of both, and you'll find two completely different philosophies how a garden tractor should be built. One comes from a company that's been building farm equipment since the 1830s. The other was born inside International Harvester as a project that became the Cub Cadet in 1961. So why, after 60-plus years, are Cub Cadet and John Deere garden tractors still built so differently? That's what we're breaking down today. The history, the engineering, and what it actually means for you if you're choosing between them. To understand why these machines feel so different today, you have to go back to how each brand started. John Deere's story starts in 1837 with a self-scouring steel plow. By the time garden tractors became a category in the mid-20th century, Deere was already a century-old heavy equipment manufacturer with deep engineering resources and a massive dealer network. When Deere entered the lawn and garden space, it built on that same engineering culture. Durable, serviceable, backed by dealers who could get you parts fast. Cub Cadet's story is different. It began in 1961 as a project inside International Harvester, a new line built for suburban homeowners with big yards, not farmers. IK's engineers went from concept to production in about a year, and the first Cub Cadet ran a modest 7-horsepower Kohler engine. Then in 1981, International Harvester hit serious financial trouble, and the Cub Cadet brand was sold off to MTD Products, a private lawn and garden manufacturer. That's one of the more significant turning points in the brand's history. John Deere, meanwhile, has continued building its garden tractors as part of the same company that makes its larger farm and turf equipment. Cub Cadet, after 1981, became part of a company whose broader lineup spans mass-market outdoor power equipment, mowers, trimmers, snow blowers, sold through both big retail chains and dedicated dealers. That difference in corporate structure is part of the story, but it's not the whole explanation for how these tractors differ today. A lot of the engineering choices we're about to walk through trace back further to decisions IH's engineers made in the 1960s that Cub Cadet has carried forward in some models, alongside changes Deere made as its own lineup evolved. Same category, two different corporate histories. Let's get into what that actually looks like on the machines themselves. Let's start with the frame, because this is where the two brands genuinely part ways. John Deere's garden tractors, on the X500 and X700 series specifically, use a full-length welded steel frame with a serviceable, more heavy-duty feel. That's not necessarily true of every Deere generation or every entry-level model, but on these series, Deere built the lineup around a relatively robust, integrated platform, with higher-end configurations adding features like full-time four-wheel drive on machines like the X739, or diesel engine options on models like the X750. The company's approach on these series is build one solid platform, then scale features up or down within it. Some of Cub Cadet's tractors, historically and on select models today, use shaft drive instead of belt drive to connect the engine to the transmission. This isn't a brand-wide feature. It depends heavily on the specific model and generation. Cub Cadet's own company history credits its first shaft drive model to 1963, just 2 years after the original Cub Cadet launched, and its first hydrostatic drive garden tractor to 1966, which was reportedly the first of its kind in the industry. Later, models like the 2000 series carried this forward with a direct shaft drive and a cast iron transaxle. But not every Cub Cadet uses shaft drive, including many of today's models, so it's worth checking the drivetrain of a specific tractor rather than assuming it based on the badge. So what does shaft drive actually change? A shaft drive eliminates the drive belt as the primary mechanical link between the engine and transmission. That can reduce one common wear item, belts stretch, glaze, and eventually need replacing, but it doesn't automatically make the entire tractor more durable. Bearings, joints, gears, the transaxle, and every other component in the drivetrain can still wear out over time, regardless of whether the initial power transfer is by belt or shaft. It's a real design difference worth knowing about, but it's one piece of a much larger durability picture, not a shortcut to declaring one brand tougher than the other. Now, does that mean Cub Cadet is automatically stronger and John Deere is automatically weaker? Not exactly. If you spend time on tractor enthusiast forums, and there are some genuinely deep, decades-long debates on sites like Tractor Buynet, you'll find longtime owners arguing both sides. Some point out that Cub Cadet's higher-end transaxles can handle more torque in certain gearing configurations. Others counter that Deere's engineering and material quality across the board is what gives it a reputation for long-term reliability, especially at the higher end of the lineup. The honest answer is, both brands make genuinely solid machines at their upper tiers. The real differences show up more in the details: drivetrain type, transmission durability, and how the machine is positioned in each company's lineup, than in one brand being flatly better than the other. Quick myth to clear up before we get to the part that actually explains how these tractors feel different. For many garden tractor generations, both Cub Cadet and John Deere have relied largely on outside engine suppliers rather than building engines in-house. And exactly which suppliers and which specs has changed a lot over the decades and varies by model. Cub Cadet has leaned heavily on Kohler engines across much of its lineup, with Kubota diesels on older Super Garden tractor models. John Deere has used a mix: Kohler and Onan on older and entry models, Kawasaki FH series engines on mid to upper X series tractors, and Yanmar diesels on higher-end models. So when someone says Deere engines are more reliable or Cub Cadet engines are more efficient, they're often really comparing Kawasaki versus Kohler on a specific model, not some proprietary technology unique to either tractor brand. All four of these engine makers have solid reputations. The engine badge is a smaller part of the story than people assume. The bigger difference is what's downstream of the engine, which is where we're headed next. Here's the real question people are actually asking when they say, why do these feel so different? Why does one garden tractor feel like a scaled-down farm tractor, while another feels more like a beefed-up lawnmower? The answer isn't the engine badge. It's everything the engine's power has to travel through before it reaches the ground. So let's trace that path. Engine, transmission, transaxle, rear axle, PTO, mower deck, and attachments. Power leaves the engine and hits the transmission first. Both brands offer hydrostatic drive on most models today. No clutch, no manual gear shifting, just push a pedal. But the specific hydro units and how serviceable they are differ by series and generation. On some of Cub Cadet's higher-tier XT3 and GT models, and on Deere's X500 series, the transaxles are considered more serviceable and rebuildable. You can actually open them up and fix them. On entry-level models from both brands, the transmissions tend to be sealed units that are cheaper to replace outright than to repair. From there, power moves into the transaxle and rear axle. This is where a lot of the toughness people talk about actually lives. A heavier-duty transaxle and axle assembly is what lets a tractor pull a loaded cart, run a tiller, or push a snowblower through wet snow without straining. This is also where the shaft drive versus belt drive difference we covered earlier actually matters in practice. It's part of the same chain from transmission to transaxle. Then there's the PTO, the power takeoff that runs attachments like mower decks, tillers, and snowblowers independently of ground speed. The type of PTO system, how the deck engages, and how attachments connect can also differ significantly between models and price tiers, and it shows up immediately if you're running heavier attachments. Finally, the mower deck and attachment system. This is where you can visually see the difference in a walk-around. Deck material and reinforcement, spindle design, and how attachments mount and lock in all vary by model and price tier. And this is usually the last thing people check, even though it's often the first thing that wears out. So when a tractor feels like a mini farm machine instead of a lawnmower, it's usually this whole chain working together. A stouter transaxle, a more serviceable transmission, a beefier PTO, and a heavier deck. Not just a bigger number on the engine's horsepower rating. Now distribution and price factor in here too. John Deere sells primarily through dedicated green and yellow dealerships. Consistent parts availability and factory trained service, generally at a higher price. Cub Cadet's higher-end machines go through independent dealers as well, but the brand also has a huge presence in big box retail, which keeps entry prices lower but widens the gap between its cheapest and most premium models. At comparable equipment levels, Deere can command a real price premium, while Cub Cadet often competes by offering more capability at a lower price. But get quotes on your specific configuration because exact numbers move around a lot by deck size, attachments, dealer, and region. So, practically speaking, which one is right for you? If you want the reassurance of an established dealer network, consistent build quality across the lineup, and you don't mind paying a premium for that consistency, John Deere's X-Series is a safe, well-supported choice, especially if you're doing heavier work like plowing, hauling, or running a 4WD model on rough ground. If you want more machine for less money, don't mind researching which specific Cub Cadet model you're looking at and care more about a serviceable transaxle and a strong power path than about which engine badge is under the hood. A higher-end Cub Cadet GT or XT3 can go toe-to-toe with a Deere X500 series tractor at a noticeably lower price point. That's a comparison that comes up constantly on tractor enthusiast forums. Get quotes on both for your specific deck size and attachments before you decide. The drivetrain and price gap is real, but the exact numbers move around a lot. The mistake to avoid either way is comparing a base, big box store model from one brand to a premium, dealer-sold model from the other. Compare like-for-like tiers, and the which brand is better question gets a lot more honest. Let's bring it back together. Cub Cadet and John Deere garden tractors are different in part because they came from different corporate paths. One from a century-old agricultural manufacturer that has kept building garden tractors alongside its larger farm and turf equipment. The other from an international harvester side project that, after 1981, became part of a company with a broader mass-market outdoor power equipment lineup. That history is part of the picture, but the differences you actually feel on the machine come down to specific choices. Frame construction, whether a given model uses belt drive or shaft drive, which third-party engine supplier was used on that generation, how the transmission is serviced, and how each brand is sold and priced. Neither one is objectively the best. They're built around different priorities. Deere generally prioritizes consistency and dealer support across its lineup. Cub Cadet often prioritizes value, and on select models, drivetrain choices like shaft drive that some longtime owners have defended for decades. But as we covered, that's model-specific, not a blanket brand trait. If this breakdown helped you make sense of the debate, drop a comment and let me know which one you're running. And if you've owned both, I want to hear which one actually held up better for you. Subscribe if you want more equipment comparisons like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.